Let me screen. So good evening. So today we will see what are the local and global variable scope in Python. So as of now, I think we already seen multiple times, but we haven't used that. So generally, when we are writing any variable outside the function, it will be in global scope. Or whatever the we write variable inside the function, it will have local scope. So it's like the variable will be available till only that function execution. So it's very crucial to understand what exactly the variables local and global variable scope. So for example, local variables is defined inside the function and the scope is limited to uh, the function or block when they are defined. So it's we can't access that variable outside that function directly. So we can access via methods what we will be doing object-oriented programming, but we won't be access directly using that function. For example, so if you take this, now I am just going back here. So and then I am printing the print. So I am trying to print local variable inside the function and I'm calling the function and I'm trying to the print the same variable which I defined inside the function and I'm trying to the print the value of that variable. So when I try to run this, so it is printing 10, but when we are trying to print after the function call, it's giving us the error, like it's saying local variable is not defined. So it's like it's a local where it's the scope is limited to only to that function. But in case what exactly the global variable is, so it's like we define it outside the function and we can access it anywhere from the program. So it should be can lead to unintended behavior. So it's like generally whatever till now whatever we coded, we when we are taking the input from the users everything, those storing in a variable, right? So those everything are global variables, and we will be using in the functions as well that global variables. So it's like now it is not giving. So now we have defined a global variable outside the function, and in the function we are printing the global variable inside the function and we are calling that function, and again we are printing the global variable outside the function after the function call. So when we try to run the same, now we should not get any error. It should print 2020. So this is the main difference. As of now we are using like that, so in many of the codings, but we should be able to distinguish what is the global variable scope and what is the local variable scope. And if in case now you want to modify I meant to say the global variable value to some like to increment it or to add something a global variable. So even if you define, you can't in the global variable scope you can't change the operations on that. So for example, now if I take this, so now if I comment this out and just run, so generally what we think, the global variable is available all the time, but when we are doing some operation like trying to increment on that, it's saying let's see, we are not giving this statement. So what it will be think is that this is another variable what we declared inside the function. So it's like a local variable to this function, and it's trying to uh, like increment that value of this variable, and it will try to fetch this variable value inside the function. It will try to search. So when we run this, the same thing, right? So it's like it is saying local variable, global. This variable name is global variable. So, but it is thinking this global variable is a local variable to that function, and it is actually doing the increment. So, if so, it is thinking this already assigned some value to this variable. So, I need to get that value from that variable, but it is not defined. So that's why we got the error. But when we want to do some operations on that, generally we need to use this keyword, using global keyword and global variable. So we are saying to the function, this global variable what we are trying to increment is the a global variable. So it's like we can refer it from the outside the function scope, like outside the local scope, and then you can do the whatever the necessary operations you can do. So now when we save it and run it, so now it will work perfectly fine. So if you see again, it's incrementing the global value, and it is actually doing this. So inside the function also it is thinking, it is printing after the increment, and outside the function also the value of the global variable got changed to 21. But generally we should not do like this to change the global variables. Global variables are mainly to share the constant data across different functions. So better we don't change the global values. Uh, Instead of that, we actually what we do the in return statement. If you want to increment this variable value, we can actually what we can do is we can use return global variable. So what it will do, let's see. Okay, I have to print. So we are not changing the variable value, global variable value, but we are able to achieve what we trying to do before, like increment the value of the global variable by 1. But the constant of the global value we are not changing. Simply we are just using return statement to increment the value of the global variable. So it's like they are saying the same thing. So what are the benefits of using local variables? And so it is a additional concept. So how the evolution will take place. So when there is multiple like global local variables are there in the function, global variables are there, and then the enclosing variables, in the sense there multiple functions like nested functions are there. Then it will take the first preference will be the innermost function will have that local, and then if there is a nested function, then the enclosing functions variable, it's like you can say non-local of that function, it will take the precedence, and then global variable, and then if there is a built-in namespaces like init, like the constructor method namespace what we use, similar kind of. So it's like they're saying local variables defined in the nested function can have local variables of the enclosing function. So this is how like tips for learning. So we will see another variable scope demo. So here we are defining enemies one. So now what we are doing, we are defining function. So enemies equal to 2, the same variable thing, but it is defined inside that. So we are printing enemies inside the function enemies and inside of that function. So generally what we think, here we are incrementing to 2. So it should be, so we are assigning the variable of enemies to 2, but it should be 2 here and as well as here, right? So that's the difference. So because this what interpreter will treat as is a local reference, so its scope will be till only this function. So when we call this function, it will think this is a another local variable with this variable name. But here this function is outside the function, so this is the global variable we define. So that's why we are getting 1. So just I will be running this as well, just to understand. Okay, let's see. So it's like nmis inside the function to nmis inside the function. Now again this is like the local scope. So we are trying to print the function, like print the local variable what is not defined. It is defined only inside the function. So that's why we got the error. Now if we take the again, there's another variable what we are defining like player health equal to 10. So we are defining nested functions here inside the game. We are defining another like another function ring portion, and strength is 2, and we are actually printing the player health here as well and here also. So it's like it's a global variable. So if you see, we are defined outside the function and we are printing calling it inside the function, and we are calling the function even inside. So now when I run the same code again, okay, so just we are calling only this function. We need to call game. So the game function, what it will do, it internally call this string function. Then we will get two displaying of two tens, two tens here. Now it's like there is no block scope. So what this exact sentence does is, so generally when we are using any conditional statements like for loop, while loop, like loopings, or the conditional statements if else. So generally there is no block scope. So if we take in other languages like C Sharp or Java, so until unless until this condition will satisfied, so it will be only available till this condition is evaluated. So in Python there is no such kind of block scopes. So it's like if we consider this as a block, so we can actually print this game level outside the function as well, like outside the conditioning as well. So if I want to print, so I haven't called enemies, so it should print either a skeleton and then it should print. So we are actually assigning enemies in a game. So if you see the skeleton and the scope is not changed, so it's like in the block it is there. So after the block the value is not changed, so we can still access the variable value. So as I said again here, like enemies, increase enemies again we function. So it's like if we need to return uh, two types, either we can do via the global function, but it's not. Uh, I meant to say it's not advisable to use that global keyword very frequently. It should be used only in certain type of cases. Generally, if you want to do some global with global variables, some kind of operations, then you should use the return function. So here just we are giving enemies to increase enemies. So we are calling the function, we are returning 2. So when we are calling this function, it will print this enemies equal to 1 here, because at the time of function call this is not incremented. After this line only this the return statement got implemented. So that's why we will get now inside function 1 and outside the function it will be 2. So generally, and again the constants will be defined like this. So generally it will be capitals and so this is about the variable scope. Then if we go to this code, what we will be doing, so we should use all the whatever the logics or whatever the concepts we have played. So before we used to have very detailed explanation how to write that, how to use the function, where to write the function like that. So here there is no such kind of detailed explanation, just an outline. So it's like we should include an ASCII art logo. So for that there is one website we'll be pinging here. So it's like when depending on whatever text you will give, it will convert to ASCII format, and the fonts can be different formats depending on our selection. So it will change. So it's like blocks now. Yeah, cards it went. So yeah, lazy fun face. So just you need to copy this and whatever we do. So generally, so I have selected this logo like 3D diagonal. So yeah, so I'm not rewriting again here. Now just I want, for example, for number art, I'm importing logo and I will print that a logo. So now here, so again we should say like all the players should submit a guess. Like allow the player to submit a guess for number between 1 to 100, and then check users like guess against the actual answer. Like if it is uh, too high, like if it is not greater than the if user has guessed greater than that number value, it should print too high and it should print too low depending on the answer. And if they got the answer correct, we should show like the actual answer should show the player. We should like track the number of turns. So provide the feedback to player. You lose something like kind of stuff. Include two different difficulty levels, like 10 guesses in easy mode and 5 guesses in hard. So for example, let's go one step by step. So this is done. So we have created a logo from this uh, website, and then we copy pasted here, and then we are actually importing that from number art import logo, and then we should we know that the computer should choose any one of the number between 1 to 10. So we have already used a random module. So from random module we will be importing random int. So the first thing here what we do, just don't think this one. So we will be printing the logo. If it is not in just don't consider this as function. So if we are writing on step by step, so printing logo will done, and then we will be doing print welcome to the number guessing game, or just to you can write whatever you want. Welcome just to uh, I want number guessing game, so I have got the logo as number guessing. So now you can write like whatever you want. Just we are thinking. I'm thinking of a number between 100 to 100. I am thinking instead of uh, choosing a number between 1 to 100, and we are actually uh, storing it in integer like variable answer, so that here the print statement is just to see whether our what computer is choosing to test our code. So you can just uncomment it out, but when you are done with all the testings, then you should comment it out. So now this is the initial steps. So ask the user like ask the player to submit the guess for a number between 1 to 10, like 1 to 100. So now we should ask the user to submit a guess, right? So at that time we should ask the input function like input make a guess. So we can say between 1 and 100. So again, don't consider this step still. So we will be just considering this input. So we will be asking the user this input. Now we need to check the users against the. So it's like we need to call the uh, function, or we can define here itself, but we will be checking check answer. So what we will be doing if guess answer is greater than, so we are defining check answer function and guess the answer. Like guess is like user, what user will be guessing, that's the variable. So where int guess, and the what computer has chosen the actual answer. So we are creating two parameters here, and then depending on that we are actually creating guess answer print too high, else if guess answer print too low, else. So there is no other option, right? So either it will be greater than or it will be less than, otherwise it will be equal to. So at that time this one. So before that we are not doing this operation, like a return statements we are not writing. For example, we are, if we comment it out, then it's like only this function we have written, and then we will be calling only check answer function. But next, what is the, if they got show the answer to the actual player. Okay, so it's like we should display the answer. So now it's like track the number of turns remaining. If they run out of, provide the feedback to the player, and we should have, but all this is converted again here, little bit tricky. So we should have another function, just we are writing another function like set difficulty. So we should be asking the user what is the level they want. If level is easy, so return easy level, but if that is hard level. So we are defining this as global constants. If you carefully observe, we have defined it as like in capitals. So where generally the notation is we should not change this global constant. So it's a constant. So now what we are doing, we are getting the turns depending on the difficulty. So once uh, we are calling this function after after a computer is chosen, then we are asking calling this function to ask the user choose the difficulty. And once the turns, so now once the turns got got the variable, then we are printing it out like you have turns. So there should be something, right? So it's like our guess should not, is not equal to answer. So this will evaluate to true, like while our guess, until unless the guess is evaluated to true, it the while loop continues to run. So that's why we have defined a guess equal to 0. So when the guess is equal to 0, it will evaluate to false. Then we can come out of the loop. So but for now it's like the turns we have kept the difficulty. Now the turns is like if you selected user selected easy, it will be a 10, and if user selected like hard, it will be 5. What are we defined here? So no again, but we need to decrement, right? So whenever user does an operation like guess the one thing, we have to decrement the turns. So that's why what we are doing, we are actually defining the same variable here, and we are actually when when the checking goes in this condition, then we are decreasing turns. Even in this condition also we are decreasing the turns. But if we are going the correct answer, then it is not. We are not decreasing anything. We are just exiting the loop. So that's why we have written this one. So all the three we are checking whether user has uh, guessing the correct, and if not, we have to reduce their number of turns. Now it's like if user has all the turns got reduced to 0, then we should we have run out of the gases and we are just given return. So return statement is to return, it will return false. So it's like it will come out of the loop. So it will break the like if this condition satisfied, it will come out of the while loop what we are doing. So again, else if so, so the condition is not satisfied, then we are checking the next like else if yes answer is not equal to, then we will be asking guess again the user. So and all this we even if you don't define also like even if we don't define the function also. So for example, just not defining, what I will be doing. So just I am keeping everything to per. So it's like the execution. So just I am sorry. Okay, even if we run like this also it should work. So let's see whether it is working or not. Then outside the function. Okay. Okay, the statement inside the function, right? Okay. Okay, Okay, so it's like so this is another kind of stuff like so we are returning back to the like this function. Instead of if you want to just exit the total execution when this condition satisfied, so you can use this type of system.exit like code like a command. So it will what it will do, it will just exit out of the loop like so just making so you have I'm just giving 100 too high, so I'm just 1 2 3 7. So it is working perfectly fine. So you run so and then execution, the game execution came out. So instead of using another system module, so it's better to just return use the simple return function which will return none type, and the loop will break, and then it's easy to organize. So again, I'm just going back. Now just now again. So now I have defined again the game, and it should working the similar way what we have. So now it's like hard. So just 1 85 65 85. So it came out. It's working perfectly fine. So just to check whether it is working. Two and then 33. Yeah. So because we are displaying the correct answer, just I have to understand whether it is working correctly or not. I have given 33. So you can just comment this out when we are working or playing. Okay, so just I am doing tab level indentations instead of space level indentation. So it is good practice to use space tab level indentations instead of using space level indentations. So it's like if you see the indentation level is at the same level. So just to check again, just to run if my indentation is unexpected indentation. So line number 13. If, okay. Okay, now it is working fine, absolutely. Easy 36. Oh, seriously, I got lucky. I don't know whether I just typed. I don't know what is number I selected, but yeah, I got it in the first attempt. Yeah, I think that's it for today.